Hey, it's Drybear, and we need to talk about Diablo 4. More specifically, the public opinion of Diablo 4 as it stands right now at the end of 2023. We have got our official nominations for the Game Awards, and I think there's a lot to dive in here with what was nominated, what wasn't nominated, whether things should line up as accurately as possible with the nominations, like is Dave the Diver actually an independent game? Should Cyberpunk 2077 be considered an ongoing game? And many more questions along those lines. When it comes to Diablo 4, it made its nominations in two different categories: Best Multiplayer Game and Innovations in Accessibility. And over the last week or so, I've been asking my community what people think should be the winner in each of these categories and what you think about the games that are available. And while there are a few jokesters that wish that Baldur's Gate 3 could be nominated for every single category, even ones it can't even possibly qualify for, I have been seeing a lot of comments around why hasn't Diablo 4 been nominated for more categories in the Game Awards. And it's an interesting topic that goes into the idea of risk management and public narratives and what people think about things and feel about things being more or less accurate than how they actually engage with the content itself. And the question needs to be asked at this point in November, as we're moving into the end of Season 2, has Diablo 4 become way too overhated? Or so is the article title from Paul Tassi over at Forbes, wondering, is it deserving of all the hate that it gets? Is D4 actually equal bad? Now, I think that this idea transcends anything that anyone as an individual can do. We've already mentioned how this can manifest itself in the fact that people want Baldur's Gate 3 to win Best Ongoing Game, or they wish that Baldur's Gate 3 was nominated for Best Esports Game of the Year. The simple fact is, what people care about and what people assess and accept as their own emotional perspective tends to sway how they view things, especially on a large scale. So where did Diablo 4 go wrong? Why are there still so many Diablo 4 haters? And as we look back towards its June 2023 launch all the way here to November, we're in the second season of the game. Are those haters warranted in their beliefs? And the first thing that we should talk about is expectation management. This is a game that exists inside of had previously existed as a trilogy, whereas Diablo 1 didn't really take off. Diablo 2 made it big. Diablo 3 struggled at first, but with the first expansion, Reaper of Souls, did exceptionally well, and Diablo 4 was highly anticipated. Additionally, it was also a title that was well-funded and well-supported, though there was some turmoil inside of the development studio, Blizzard at the time. It's fair to say from any perspective that this was a highly anticipated game that had been supposedly in development for a long time. So I think if Diablo 4 came out in the state that it did as a first game from a brand new studio, I think it would have gotten a much warmer reception from everyone that played than if it had just been released as the fourth installment from a studio that has billions and billions of dollars in their repertoire and experience for developing and publishing games. And being an ex-developer myself, I'm not quick to throw the shade on people and show that this is definitely a huge failure, as there's definitely a lot of success, and there's also a lot of brand equity with Diablo 4 right now because so many people at least tried it out. They purchased it and played it on launch. It had some of the biggest launch numbers Blizzard has ever seen. I do believe that a lot of their public narrative woes are well deserved. If they had put in more time into expectation management, knowing that, at least from what I can tell, this was a development that was started and then stopped for long periods of time, started back up and then stopped for long periods of time. This is not a project that is the result of 7 long years of intensive development. This is something that's kind of been moved on and off to the back burner and back into the spotlight, and with new teams, new development, new creatives jumping on the project. And so when it came out, it wasn't what we were expecting. The insane cinematics brought forth this huge nostalgia and excitement for the game, and everyone was talking about it's a multiplayer game, it's gonna have so much content, it's gonna be so great, and what we got, I think, just didn't hit that bar, and that's where the D4 bad originally came from. Now, I think Diablo 4 definitely deserves credit for the campaign. The campaign itself is insanely good and is very enjoyable. I love the representation of Mephisto, I love the new characters that came in, of the atmosphere, having a little bit of a zoom in on the characters for the conversations, and of course, Mama Lilith coming in and showing her personality in throughout the whole of the story was amazing. But that's not really what you play ARPGs for, especially multiplayer ARPGs. It's more about the grind and the success and the systems of your character progression. And this is where the launch of Diablo 4 fell short. I think this is something they definitely missed out on top of just not having a lot of common sense, low-hanging fruit, quality of life features that you would expect from a studio that has been doing this for a very, very long time. Following up this initial launch, where some people loved it, some people hated it, and a lot of people were kind of meh about it, but a lot of people at least checked it out, I think they started to dig their grave a little bit in the public perception arena based on how they handled things. Continuing to support all of the different numbers and stats, how the game is amazing and everyone loves it, and talk about how big their patches are and how many pages their patch notes are, and all of this, I think, felt a little tone deaf to the people that were feeling a little bit like the game just wasn't living up to their expectations, which didn't do anything to the supporters of the game that were already on board, but it pushed some of the people that were on the fence over to the negative side, and the negative people got pushed further away from the fence, never being able to get over onto liking the game at all. And this furthered the meme that we saw online of people just saying that D4 is not a good game, it's not worth playing. However, I will give them credit in least of the Season 0 to Season 1, Season 1 to Season 2, and even going to the end of Season 2 where we have Abattoir of Zir, we have a holiday event on the way. They have been making steady, positive, incremental improvements to the game, and you can definitely see that the game has come a long way in a short period of time. In fact, many of the level-headed people that first started talking about Diablo 4, they jumped on, played the campaign, and they said something which is very accurate, and that I'll come back in like Season 5 when all this stuff is cleaned up, and by then it's going to be a really awesome game. So I definitely agree that the game does not deserve the level of hate that it's getting still, but it's going to be a long road before the developers and the publishers and the marketers around Diablo 4 can overcome that negative public appearance because of what's happened so far with the game itself. And to be fair, the game had such massive appeal on launch. It reached so many people. Whoopi Goldberg was playing it, a whole bunch of celebrities. It got so much attention, and a lot of that comes with people who were never going to play an ARPG anyways. They just played it because their friend was playing it, or their spouse was playing it, or someone they knew was playing it, or their favorite streamer was playing it. They were just playing it because it was the hot thing, but it's not their kind of game anyways. And so when those people undoubtedly fall off the wagon because they're not interested in this kind of game anyways, that's going to lead into more of that public perception being murky. And to be honest with you, I think they're on the right track. If they can continue going in the direction they're going with positive incremental improvements going upward every single patch, paying attention and putting their heart into it, I think Diablo 4 can very easily become one of the best multiplayer games that you can play. So to answer the question, is Diablo 4 overhated right now? I would say yes, but is it deserving of more accolades and awards? I would say no. But let me know what you think down below in the comments. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.